Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. I am honored, stoked. This is such a privilege to have on Tim Storey. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. And I was telling you earlier, I love your background because look at all those people. They've accomplished a lot, but I love how they've all come from different lifestyles, right?
Yeah.
And they've all manifested different things. So great to be on your program today.
This is incredible. So we're going to talk about, let's just start off by what you're currently doing. You got your book coming out. You have a program or new program you're launching. Let's talk about that. Then we're going to dip into different parts of your story and let's have a good conversation today. So your book is being released in a few weeks.
Yeah, my book's going to be released March 2nd. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But I'm not excited about it because I got a book.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to make a lot of money, or I'm going to get even more well-known. I'm excited more about helping to alter people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think that, we are changed predominantly three ways: through education, conversation, like we're doing today,
yeah,
and observation, what we see. And as a kid, we lived in a cramped, crowded environment in Compton, but once in a while, I saw a glimpse of the miraculous, like the first time I visited Disneyland.
Yeah.
So this book that I wrote with HarperCollins is called The Miracle Mentality, because it's teaching you how you can go from the mundane, the messy, the madness to the miraculous and stay there. So I stayed there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. This is just a mock-up. I don't even have my own book yet. That's a mock-up cover. That's what the cover's gonna look like.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But so I'm excited about it because this is what I'm good at. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I know how to teach people how to get into a miracle mindset.
Let's dive into, when was that moment in your life when you flipped the switch and you realized you had a gift to start spreading your word and spreading their message and helping others? Was it a moment or somebody, a conversation or something that just triggered that moment where it set your path?
It was definitely a conversation.
Yeah. Because
you many times don't know that you're not the same as everybody in the pack. And I love to study. So I was doing some research on the Boston Marathon. And in the Boston Marathon, if you were to study it, you'll find that the Kenyans, people from Kenya, have won in the last 20 years over 80% of the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of countries. The Kenyans keep winning. So I love to research, so I just started breaking it down and then watching a lot of interviews from Kenyan runners. And here's what I found. There's over 30,000 people in the Boston Marathon. And so everybody's in their starting line, and they're running for different reasons. They're running for charity. They're running because it's part of their checklist, their dream board. But in many cases, a lot of these people are running to win. And so I found out that the Kenyans, they train going uphill. They train in extreme heat. They train in high altitude on purpose for their breathing.
Yeah.
Powerful, right?
100%.
They train on rough terrain.
Yeah.
And they also have mentors that train them to run like a Kenyan. So I'm going to answer your question on my life.
Yeah. So
the Kenyans say that at mile 15 of the marathon, a lot of people think we're winning. The Kenyans say around mile 20, they look at each other and they say, run like a Kenyan. And so it takes a Kenyan to look at a Kenyan to say, run like a Kenyan. It's pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
And then it's over with.
Yeah.
They kick in. So one Kenyan runner said, when we get to the Boston Marathon, it's like going downhill.
Downhill, yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to have a Little League coach at age 10 that said, basically, he didn't say these words, but run like a Kenyan. My 6th grade teacher, Tim Storey, you're brilliant, run like a Kenyan. Barry Gordy, you're brilliant, run like a Kenyan. Vidal Sassoon, Lee Iacocca, run like a Kenyan. Oprah Winfrey, run like a Kenyan. So I've been blessed for people to recognize, like I recognize in you, because you got it too, to recognize and say, go. Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters you grew up with? Your family? How
I
big was
have
your family?
I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. My brother passed away, very smart, McDonnell Douglas engineer, and he passed away, struggled with addiction, but not your typical like guy you would think struggled with addiction, but he lost that battle. And then I have a sister, Viola, who is just brilliant. All my sisters are very beautiful. And I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My sister, Viola, was just going to San Francisco with her friends, and 2 sisters. One sister was driving, the other sister was in the front seat. My sister, Viola, was in the back. Beautiful girl, happy. The girl thought she saw an off-ramp in the middle of fog at night, goes down. Sister hits her head, 8 days in a coma, dies. So my father died when I was 10. My sister Viola died 2 years later. And then my brother Randy died about 10 years after that. But if you get to know me, I'm still very optimistic.
Yeah.
That was all very troubling. But I still see life as very beautiful and difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a new day, a new chapter. I mean, those are very powerful struggles. I mean, those are very powerful moments in such a young age too. How old were you when your brother passed and your sister?
I
You were
was
the youngest.
I was 10 when my dad died, and that was a difficult one because he had a lot of great energy.
Yeah.
And when he died, our house went from Chuck E. Cheese to it felt like a cold garage.
Yeah.
No, but it felt like a cold garage for years. But somebody asked me last night, somebody very smart, a friend of mine that used to be an anchor at CNN News that a lot of people would know. She said, do you think you would have ever become Tim Storey at this magnitude had your father not died? And I said, absolutely not. Because that triggered me. It triggered me in a way of, man, we are lower income and we're stuck. And I don't like the feeling. So I think that that's one reason why I just took off.
You're such a young age too, right? I mean, that's a big figure, an important figure in your life at that age. So did your older brother have almost a role model level to you when your dad passed? Or you just kind of, because there's only 2 boys in the house, so
no, he was completely different. Like, I have mad respect for him. I got a picture of him right there.
Yeah.
And my brother was so different than me because I'm Spanish and black.
Yeah.
He took more the Spanish looks. Like, he looks like an Andy Garcia type.
Yeah.
And he had green eyes. And he used to surf because we left Compton, moved to another neighborhood. He started surfing with a bunch of white people. And then he got really into, like, at 14, 15, hanging out with older guys that taught him how to work on cars. So my brother was known in the area of fixing Volkswagens. So my brother had a little side company going at 18. He would restore Volkswagens. I don't know if you remember back in the day, they would like lower them, not like cholos.
Yeah.
But they would lower them like the surfers.
Yeah.
And they put amazing rims on them.
Yeah.
And then they sounded like really hot. So these were like 67 Volkswagens, 68, 69s. And my brother was like a star at that. And he surfed. We were completely different.
Yeah.
I was in the Motown. I had a big afro. And so we related on the level of love,
Yeah.
but we were completely different human beings, but we loved each other.
Yeah. How old were you when you first got married?
I was 25. I was a 25-year-old straight-laced kid that had not done too much wrong. I'd never drank alcohol in my life because I was raised in a very religious home. Then I went to seminary. Sexually, didn't know what was up. So I got married at 25 into an amazing family. Somebody that I still call my father-in-law, he has 2 doctorates, has been a person that has worked with 3 presidents on urban affairs.
Wow.
My former wife, master's degree, ends up becoming a college professor. Great
Great
lady,
family.
great family. And we were married 11 years, but we should have just dated. We're so different.
Yeah.
But 2 religious kids in a church, it looked right.
Yeah, of course.
But we're best friends today. She still has a key to my house and sneaks in and leaves food. And
I think that's so important for people to
she's
hear.
amazing.
Yeah, I think that's so important for people to hear, right? Because a lot of times when separation hits and you guys have 2 children together.
2 children, a son and a daughter.
How old are your children now?
They are 32, my son, and my daughter's 30. And
Do
they're both.
you have grandchildren?
No.
Okay.
And they're both in the entertainment business. My son went to recording school, and he's a photographer, he's a creator, he's a writer, does a lot of projects on his own, projects with us. And then my daughter is I won't say the show because she doesn't like her world being on blast, but she is a producer of one of the top shows we got going in America. So they're both go-getters, but they're humble kids and they're nice.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, I mean, they have a good role model to follow. So I was reading something about you, and stop me if I'm incorrect. You were on Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Many times.
How did that all come about, and how did that all start? Because that was a big popular show for a while, right? When did that all start?
So, I mean, as you know, I work with entertainers.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins told Dog he should talk to Tim Storey. So he did. He came to see me, big convention, 4,000 people in Honolulu where Dog and Beth were living. At the time, they didn't even have a show. And I started coaching Dog and Beth. And then they started moving on. I even helped them get their manager.
Oh, wow.
Who was a very famous manager, one of the biggest in the world. And they got a show on A&E, and it lasted right about 12 seasons. And I've done quite a few episodes on Dog the Bounty Hunter. So I did their wedding, which was one of the biggest shows that they ever had. But I was also their life coach on the show and behind the scenes. So I talked to Dog almost every week of my life. I did his wife's funeral, Beth, she died.
Yeah, I know.
I did his daughter's funeral. I did his other daughter, baby Lisa's wedding. So we spend Christmases together, Thanksgiving sometimes. Yeah, Dog's cool. I'm proud of him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was I mean, I think if anything, as a family, I think a lot of people adapt and related to them, and a lot of people almost felt them. So when her situation aroused in the media, it was heartfelt, I think, around the world, because it was hard to understand, but it was easy to connect to them.
Yeah, they're big stars, but so down to earth.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been with them where we were eating at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, and Gene Simmons comes in, but he goes right to their table. And then I was there and freaking Samuel Jackson. Like, oh my God, I love your show. And then another time I'm sitting there with them and Whoopi Goldberg's like, love you guys. So yeah, people love them and they're continuing to flow. Like Dog's got other shows going on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when you started college, and I heard the other day I was listening to a little story of yours, when you actually hired a life coach and to train you and certify you and all that. Let's dive into that. Like, what flipped in your head to go that route, and how long till you felt that comfort to start actually training other individuals? Because a lot of people nowadays they do an online course, they'll do a 2-month course online, and all of a sudden they're a life coach, and they don't understand the meaning of it. And it bothers me because you get a lot of people that haven't experienced life, gone through life, built something, and all of a sudden they're a coach. And I'll example, I'm coaching dad entrepreneurs now, and that's my passion. For the last 12 years, I've focused on parenting and fatherhood, and I want to give back to dads and entrepreneurs and teach them how to have a harmonized balance and focus on schedule and all that. And I'm 43. I turned 44 two days ago, and I see these young guys in their 20s, and they're all certified coaches and selling their programs, and I'm like, you guys haven't lived life yet. How long? Because you've been through such a long journey, you've done through this so long. How, when you started coaching or when you started actually training, and I heard the whole story, you paid somebody and all that. Let's start with that journey and then continue with that.
So I think that I don't have a problem with somebody mentoring and tutoring someone, but I agree with you in that let's not put a label on you.
Yeah.
And act like you're in the NBA.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. LeBron James, in an interview recently, said he spends over $1 million a year to get better.
Yeah.
So that's with trainers, nutritionists, mind coaches, people traveling with him on the road. So a lot of that is like travel expenses and that.
Of course, yeah.
He flies everybody first class everywhere, okay? Now, so the reason he did that and does that is because he's trying to play at a certain level.
Yeah.
What I find in the area of coaching, there's only about 10 that play at a level. The other are playing at another level.
Yeah.
Now, but it's okay to play at that other level because everybody's a coach. You're coaching your kids. You're coaching yourself. If you have a company, you're coaching your company. You're a coach, you're coaching your company. Yeah. So I had an inkling that I was going to help a lot of people. So I invested a lot of money and I went to Dr. Helen Mendez, who taught at USC, African-American lady. Mm-hmm. And I worked with her for over 17 years.
Incredible. So when did the journey start? How old were you?
Well, I want to get it right because it's so big as part of the journey. I was 28, but I was already Tim Storey. I was one of the biggest speakers in the world at age 24. I was speaking to 30,000 at age 25. I was holding court at 28 at a conference that had a registered 6,200 people. So I was already that guy. Yeah. But as a coach, because I was coaching famous NFL players and then movie stars, I was in over my head. So she handed me her curriculum. She said, read it, which I'm a person who likes to study.
Yeah.
And then let's see what you could use, what you can't use. And the journey just continued. And we literally went at it every week. I hardly missed a week unless I was traveling overseas for like 3 years. And then I'd say every other week for the rest of all those years. Wow. But that's why I could work with a Lee Iacocca. Like, who could say they worked with Lee Iacocca?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He was the Richard Branson of our day.
Yeah.
The reason I could play at such a high level is because this lady, she educated me in such a way and taught me how to do it. And so therefore, I think that I rose to the degree of my training. But, you know, that's one thing I'm excited about what I'm doing now. It's people have been asking me to do this for 15 years, and I have developed a coaching system where I teach you how to be a life coach. And we started selling it, I'll just say this quickly, at $5,900, and it sold like wild things. And I didn't like the feeling. I said, even though the people are buying it, it's too high. That's my style. So for the month of January, February, I brought it down to $995. Cost me $70,000 to produce.
Yeah.
But they're going to get 30 years of my training and all the training from Dr. Helen Mendez that she taught me for $995. So to me, that's a start. Get something like that.
Yeah.
Learn from somebody who's good at it, and then build upon it. So it was worth it for me to train with Dr. Mendez, because she helped me to help and change millions of people's lives.
So when you were stepping on stage at such a young age, what was the age of the first time you stepped on stage?
Big stage, 13,000 people in Nigeria.
So that journey, I mean, that's so young. Like, I mean, I used to do sales training, and I ran a consulting company at 19, and I used to do sales training for like 400 or 500 people, and I had a mentor for sales, and we used to do sales training. And I was comfortable even at that age stepping in, but it was like 400, 300 people in the room. But stepping on that stage, your initial moments, did you ever have those nerves, anxiety? Like, how did you overcome those? Because that was something I think, I mean, public speaking is something a lot of people are fearful for.
Yeah. So public speaking is difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Very difficult. But I think that you are better at it if you're like passionate about what you're speaking on.
Yeah.
Like if you're on a date, okay, you're married, but if someone's on a date, what you got to do on a date, if you're smart, you push buttons in a person to see what they're interested in. Because you may be saying like, what were the last few places you've traveled? And then she says, I don't like to travel. I noticed on Instagram, you have 2 dogs. Oh my God, I love my dogs. Okay, now you push the button.
We're getting a dating tips here. I love this.
And now, hey dude, talk about our dogs for a long time.
Yeah, it's finding commonalities, right?
You said it better than me. So what I do, I'm very prepared. So I have notes, like everywhere you look around, here's a whole thing on the comeback. Notes. I have 11 people that help me with research. I'm a machine. So if I go speak at Grant Cardone's 10X, which I'm the only guy who's done 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah.
If I speak at Grant Cardone's, or if I'm speaking to 34,000 people at another event in Las Vegas, I'm not winging it. I have put 30 hours into a 30-minute speech.
I love it.
I'm not winging nothing.
There's a lesson to be learned here. And I think people have to understand is anybody that's younger, that's getting into any type of field or career, it's all the preparation, the work behind the scenes to prepare for that moment. And I love that
preparation. I'm preparing and preparing. Okay, so like, let's say in life coaching, if somebody says, can you help my son? He's lost. You know, I sent him to this school. I sent him to Stanford, and he's spinning out of control. Man, that's somebody's son. That kid may kill himself.
Yeah.
I'm doing the back work. It's not like to monetize.
No.
Please, somebody. And to speak, I'm not trying to be the best. Look, I'm taking this information,
Yeah.
30 hours, and I'm inserting it into humans. That's why they leave Tim Storey meetings crying. This is very common. People will say, why did I cry? Why did I get emotional? Why do I want to feel like I want to grab you and tackle you? Because I'm not normal. I'm not just speaking from the head. I'm speaking from revelation.
In the heart too. Yeah.
And that's what opened the world to me. I mean, I've been to now 75 countries of the world, speaking up to 85,000 people at one time, over 2,000 invitations a year. It's not by accident. I mean, there's a lot of speakers.
Yeah.
What? I'm not just a speaker. I'm a revolutionary. I'm bringing change.
I love that. I love that. So with this all, like, so how do you manage your time? And obviously you have your staff that help you with your scheduling and all that, but you're so obviously wanted and pulled from so many angles, and there's people like me always trying to get an interview or talk to you. Or how do you manage your time? Because you seem like you're the type of individual that enjoys giving back and talking to people. So how do you manage your time? How do you know when it's right to talk to people and not?
Number one, I'm a person first.
Yeah.
Like, I love life.
I love that.
Like today, I love all kinds of music, from 70s white boy music to country western. But today I was watching Jay-Z in Glastonbury, because I've been to England over 80 times.
Yeah.
So the group Oasis got ticked because Jay-Z was going to do the big festival, Glastonbury, back in 2008. And so Jay-Z, on purpose, sang one of their hit songs to start the set, which was just like so brilliant. So Jay-Z. So I watched about 30 minutes of that concert today at 6 a.m. So I am stirred up by things. I'm stirred up by you right now. I like your look. I like your hat. I like your shirt. I like Mick Jagger on the right, Ali, Einstein, my girl Oprah, who's my real friend. I like all this. I'm loving you right now. You're into your family. So I'm into life. And out of life, I align myself with God and I get assignments. So I'm not tripping on how Tim Storey made it.
Yeah.
I made it, but I'm not tripping on that. I'm doing assignments. If my assignment is to call somebody's mother because she died, which I did yesterday, I just did it. People DM me and say, I'm in trouble. And they give me their number and I call them and they go, always say, is this the real Tim Storey? I go, yeah, you just gave me your number. Why? Because, dude, we're humans.
I love it.
So this was never about like,
no,
I want to run an empire, which I am, but it was never about that. I think I get to run an empire because that's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's infectious. I mean, you're talking, you're glowing your eyes, your smile. It's just, it's real, which I appreciate. And I've interviewed a lot of people and I've talked to a lot of people, and just, you could tell very quickly who's real, who's natural, who's honest with what they're saying, and everything that's coming through is just gleaming through you. So I love that all.
Thank you.
It's
I say that
special,
thank
right?
you, and I don't take that for granted, because as we said before, like, to go through life interruptions takes a piece of us. Like, my father's death took a piece of me. My brother's death took a piece of me. My sister's death took a piece of me. Divorce took a piece of me. But when you have a setback, don't sit, settle, or cement yourself in it.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do is to get my glow back, to get my bounce back. I never lost it completely, but I did have pieces of it ripped from me. And every single person that's watching right now, you're going through two stages, recovery and discovery at the same time. Recovery is recovering from the crap that happened in your life before and the crap that's happening now. That's recovery.
Yeah.
But if you stay in the recovery zone, you're going to miss your discovery zone. Your discovery is the magic of you watching this podcast right now and us dropping beautiful things on you that can really, really trigger you into a better place.
I'm going to dive into something right now with that. In Toronto, Canada today, it's we call it Bell Let's Talk Day. It's our global media company, Bell. They donate a certain amount, I think it's 5 cents for each text, social post, anything that tags Bell Let's Talk, and the money goes back to mental health. And right now, 2020, a lot of people, and I hate the word New Year's resolution, because if you can't do something, in my mind, any time of the year, you're not going to do it for one period. So 2020, a lot of people had their mindset of 2021 is a fresh start. In reality, it's just been a steady line. Nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are going through mental health. A lot of people are getting their credit card bills now from Christmas. They overspent to make themselves happy with everything that was happening. In a few words, what would you say to people that are at home right now? They're working from home, they're working with their children. What would you say that there's better days ahead? Like, what would you advise with them? Because mental health is a massive issue. And I think it's a massive issue with children too, because I'm seeing with my children, working from home, not going to school, virtual schools. There's so much going on in the world, right?
It's a massive issue that I work a lot in that space. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
But watch this. In the midst of doing the Tim Storey thing I teach about, the law of the harvest, plowing the ground, planting the seed, watering the seed, you reap the harvest.
Yes.
In the midst of plowing, planting, watering, and harvesting, as a mother, as a father, as a single mother, as a single father, as a 12-year-old kid, look for the magic. When little kids, okay, are getting up from sleeping in the morning, they're looking for magic. Cartoons. They're looking for maybe cereal or whatever food they like. And then they tell their mother, can I play? Yeah, but first you got to do that. And then can I play? Yeah, but then you got to do that. But then can I play? They come back from school if they're little.
Yeah. Can
I play? No, but first you got to do it. But then can I play? These are studies.
Yes.
Now, as adults, we have to start looking for the play.
I love that.
See, I get out, and as much as I got going on, like I got fancy stuff going on right now. I'm sitting in my backyard yesterday, and a super cool butterfly goes by. And I stopped to just trip. I'm into it. I look for the magic. In the area of mental health, look for the magic.
I love that.
And if you don't see it in a butterfly, create it. Let me tell you one way to get better.
Yeah.
Trigger yourself through music that you used to like. So my sister that died, I don't know what happened, because like I said, we're mixed, minority people. Yeah. But she was into Carole King, James Taylor, Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
So I triggered myself for 3 days last week. I was listening to all this Cat Stevens, James Taylor, all kinds of James Taylor, Carole King. It put me in the greatest 70s mood. Okay? Sure, I'm like promoting a book and I'm like doing all these shows and you get my point?
Yeah.
But I triggered myself on purpose. Powerful stuff.
I'm going to say something to you, Tim, is I drive home. It doesn't matter if I've had a bad day at work, somebody cuts me off. As soon as I have three purposes when I drive a lot because I got properties and all that. So midday, I use that for the blank space in my calendar. I'll make calls to my parents. I'll call friends. Morning time, I use them drive as a lesson, whether I'm listening to a podcast, an audiobook. Yeah. But when I drive home, because I want to be in a high, vibrant mood when I get home to see my kids, I pop the music on and I'm dancing in the car. Every night when I drive home, it doesn't matter what's playing, I'll put it on and I just want to dance, want to sing. And it brings your vibration up. So as you're saying that, I appreciate that because that's a big part of what I do every day. That 20 minutes of driving home, listening to music, it just brings this energy in me. When I walk in the door, I got this vibration, this happiness. And it's like I'm starting the day again, getting home.
You see that?
I love it. And I don't know if this is one thing about me is, and I told you the story before it happened with my son. I'm up at 4:30 every morning. And why I sacrifice myself at 4:30 every morning is I called the 3 to 7. I'm home from 3 to 7. I've been home for dinner, Tim, for the last 12 years, every Monday to Friday for dinner for the last 12 years. And I do that for a reason. I find dinner time, having a meal is the most important time to be with your kids.
You know, you have a good marriage. So because you're plowing the ground, planting the seeds, you're planting the seeds.
Yeah.
So I love that. So good on you.
I appreciate that.
So everybody watching, please pay attention to what he just said. So he's sowing into his wife, into his children. No wonder he's getting a good harvest.
I love that. I know your time is short with you, and I wish we had more time, and hopefully one day I can get you back. On our show notes, I'm going to put all our information, how to get a hold of Tim through social media, through buy his book, through his course, under $1,000. Like if you want to be a life coach, you're learning from one of the greatest. So I appreciate that. I asked one little question to all our guests before they go in a few words. And I think this is something you might have even answered in the past, but in a few words, if something were to happen to you today, how would you want to be described by your closest loved ones?
Let me just think for a second.
Okay.
I would say that he cared and he did something about it.
I love that.
There's another thing, it's one thing to care.
Yeah.
But I pay for people's funerals. I pay for kids to go to college that I don't know. I care, but I do something about it.
I think it's very important to understand too. Yeah.
So that's what my friends say about me. So that's what I'd like to be said about. Not that I was the greatest speaker in the world or whatever, but he cared and he did something about it.
Yeah, you may change. And and if everybody had that mentality of just making change, whether it's a high level or a low level, it doesn't matter what level. I mean, we'd all be in a better place in this world. So I appreciate you, man. I honestly, I appreciate you, buddy.
Let me give you props. You're good at interviewing, because when you're a good interviewer, like Larry King was my friend. I used to see Larry King once a week for about 10 years. And Larry King's strength is he was very curious.
Yeah.
So, and you're great with your tones. You don't just keep it here.
Yeah.
You go with the ebbs and the flows. You're very good at what you do. But you know that already. But I'm just telling you, I notice.
I'm humble. I'm very humble. And I appreciate you, man. This is really cool. I'm excited to see you continue your journey, because you have a lot more people still to touch and inspire. So this is a big journey still ahead of you. And I know that you're going to help and give back to a lot more people. So I appreciate you. Any last things you want to say to our audience before we go?
I just want to say, keep following you and really follow, really get mentored, really get discipled, really get tutored. And life can take you into some amazing places, you know. Like right when I thought I had hit a zone, I am now living in some really crazy spot that I never saw coming. And I'm not gonna lie, that crazy spot's pretty cool.
I love that.
So stick with the program, but keep watching what is going on in this show right here.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, brother.